In this session, we're going to take a look at designing athletic tails in CorelDRAW. We'll be working in CorelDRAW X6. And in this particular session, what I'd like to do is take a minute to present to you the fact that every graphic project that comes through your business or shop relating to custom apparel, especially in screen printing, is an upselling opportunity. It's also an opportunity to present to your client their options graphically. Your clients have no idea that their tail can be turned into something that has effects and pops off the garment with color as opposed to working with just black and white. Your clients don't know what their options are. And quite frequently you find that if you add some effects to your designs and do a few extra things that'll make them pop, your clients will opt for the better graphic on a colored garment. Basically all you do is you set up the design the way they ask for it. They said, well, we just want a black graphic on a white t-shirt, Westville football with a tail. And you set that up for them. And then you take that basic graphic and take it to the next level by adding some outlines and some textures to it. And you can see the difference between the two. And you present them to your client and you say, well, here's what you asked for, but we also set this up for you just so you can see what some of your other options are available to you. And then you simply ask them which one looks better to you. Obviously, 9 times out of 10, they're going to say that this design with the effects and the pop looks better. And then you can simply say to them, well, we can set this one up for you. It'll cost an extra $1.50 a shirt. Or they're thinking $1.50 a shirt. It's not very much. But when you're doing 50 or 75 shirts, that adds to another $75 or $100. You're going to set the job up on the press anyway. Why not use the upselling and make the extra money? We've heard this from shops and clients that are using these techniques that we've been presenting all over the country and in fact around the world, how their businesses are growing because they're using upselling. And with the tools and the ability that we give you to use CorelDRAW through our training, you'll be able to do this very easily and very effectively. So we want to be aware of the fact that even though it's just a simple tail design, it yet comes with it the opportunity to do an upsell and also to put better graphics out of your business. Every single design that goes out of your shop is advertising and marketing for your businesses. When the students that are wearing a t-shirt like this see a t-shirt like that, they're going to say, where did you get that t-shirt? Obviously, the same with the coaches and the staff, and even working with your clients and other organizations, youth groups, etc. And we want to be aware of that as we start this tutorial, and you're going to see how easy it is to set up a tail. I use some different techniques, but I'm always working based on shapes. And whenever I have the opportunity to work with shapes, that's where I'm going to start, and you're going to see that and how I set up this tail. By the way, we do have the tail pack available. That's a free download for your athletic tails, and you can also get that on tshirtforums.com. I'll go ahead and grab these 2 t-shirts, and just to get started with the actual athletic tail setup, I'm just going to go ahead and zoom in here, and I'm just going to bring in some text. So I'll go to my text tool. I'm just going to type in Westville, and that would be, say, our school name. Go ahead and make that quite a bit bigger, and I'm going to be working with a font here. It's actually a free font, and you can pick that up at dafont.com and download that for free. It's called Ballpark Wiener. And I've got my text set up here. I'm going to change my font to Ballpark. Now, the first thing I want to do when I'm working with this design is I want to start tweaking this text actually. I'm going to take it a step beyond just a tail. We're going to add that little extra 5 or 10% that's going to make our graphic stand out as compared to others. The first thing I'm going to do is I want to go ahead and convert this to curves. I want to show you something. I'm going to right click and select Convert to Curves, and I'm going to go to View Wireframe. And you can see what happened here is I've got some of my fonts overlapping each other. And I don't want that because I'm going to want to smooth this out. I'm going to hit Control Z and go back to Text. I'm going to go back to View and Enhance. I'm going to go to my Shape tool. I'm just going to left click here on this arrow and pull out until these separate. You can see now there's space between all the lettering. I want to right click on that and select Convert to Curves. I want to right click again and select Break Curve Apart. Once I've done that, I have to come here to the E lasso because you can see I lost that area there on the E. I want to go ahead and combine that. Same thing with this S. Combine. The same thing with this E here. Just come up and click on Combine. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the I and Combine. I'm going to take this S, hold down Control and Constrain and move that back in. We'll do the same thing here. Control, Constrain, move that back in. Control, Constrain. We'll move that back in here. I'm going to go ahead and constrain and move this back here. I'm going to just do this with all of these letters, bring them back into position. Holding down Control to constrain. I'll go ahead and lasso all of this text, but not the W. Come up and click on Weld. The reason is I want to make this W a little bit bigger. to make the Westville text stand out, which is part of my tail design. I want to do some work with my lettering and my fonts also. I want to do that little bit extra that's going to help this design pop. Next thing I want to do is go to my shape tool, and I'm just going to come in here. You see these nodes here? Just lasso, select, and delete. The same here to smooth all of this out. Nice clean graphic. Same thing here. Delete that. Same thing here. We'll delete that. And we'll do the same thing here and delete that. I want to bring this over here. Take a look here. This looks okay. This I can see I've got some here. Just lasso those nodes and delete. Same thing here. Now that I've got all of this set up as far as my lettering is concerned, the next thing I might want to do is just add some depth to this text here, and I'll do that with my envelope tool. I'll come over to my interactive tools, go to the envelope. I'm just going to quickly lasso and delete these nodes in the middle of the line segments. I'll lasso all the nodes, come up here, convert to line, click off, click on them. I'm just going to bring this up here, and I might bring this down here just a little bit, just like that, just to give that some more depth. Right click on that and select convert to curves. Now my text is set up for my tail. Now, as I have always said, I prefer to start working with shapes as quickly as possible. The reason being is that when I'm dealing with shapes, I'm going to be able to work quicker, and I'm going to have more control over what I'm doing with my design work. I don't want to start clicking with my Bezier tool all around here and shaping, or the shape tool. I want to make that as quick as possible, and I want to have as clean and as simple as possible. I'm going to go to my Bezier tool, left click, hold, pull out at the same angle as the end of the E. Then I'm going to come down here and lay down another node right about here and just pull that in so it curves. Same thing down here, another node this way, and then I'm just going to bring a line all the way down here to the end where I would want my tail to end. Then I'll zoom in back here. I might need to do a little bit of tweaking here. We'll bring this up into the center here. I can probably delete that node, and now you can see it's a nice smooth flow there on that curve. The next step for me is I'm going to change this vector node's outline. I'm going to go to my object properties. I'm going to come here to the width of my outline, and we'll change that to, let's say, 3 millimeters. I'll zoom in and take a look, and that's almost perfect. The next step for me is going to be very simple. I'm just going to come up here to Arrange, Convert Outline to Object. Now I've got a basic tail shape. Even though it's thin, I can start working with this. I'll go to my Shaping tool, left click, hold down, pull this way. As you can see right there, I'm going to take these nodes here, and I'm going to go ahead and drop a node here. Then I'm going to double click and delete this node here, and then I'm going to pull this down this way. And you can see how that's giving that very smooth curving that's just about perfect, and it's saving me the time of coming in to have smooth and work out all this curving here. It's actually perfect. Same thing here. I'll go ahead and pull this up this way, and we'll bring this over this way here. And we can see very quickly and easily we've got a very clean tail shape. Now once I've set this up, if I want to start doing some work with this and creating different tails like we have here in the tail pack, that's very easy to do because I've got a fundamental tail shape that really only has a few nodes with it because we created it from Convert Outline to Object. And I could go ahead and say what this is going to look like here, and then pull this up here. Maybe I'll make a little skinny tail like that. Maybe I'm not going to put text in it, and start to get some really different looks of the different types of tails I could apply to this text or graphic, working off of the basic shape of the tail that I created. Let me go ahead and delete that, and we'll wrap with that for now. Now we'll go ahead and go back here to our Westville text and tail, and we'll zoom in here, and we'll start to set up our final tail shape. Now let's say I wanted to have this pointed in. I could do that. I could double click here and give that a point there. Now if I wanted to give this some shape, because I'm working in X6, I could do some incredible things with shaping that I couldn't do in previous versions of Corel. Just to demonstrate that, I'm going to come up here to the Shape tool. I'm going to come down here to the Smear tool. I'm going to hold down Shift and make my nib quite a bit bigger. And you'll see I could come in here and actually start to shape all of this. Now I've got both of those objects selected. I want to hit Control Z, click off, click on just my tail, and then just start to shape that. And you can see how I could literally interactively shape my tail if I wanted that to have some shape to it without having to go through dealing with everything on my nodes. I'll hit Control Z because I'm going to work with straight now, but I just wanted to show you the options that are available with the new Smear tool that's in Draw. and how you can actually shape things with it. Now, to create my text area, I just want some more space for my text. So I'll go back to my shape tool. I'm going to pull this node up into here a little bit just to make that a little bit thicker there, and bring that tail shape in just about right there. I'm going to pull this down here just to give us space in the tail for our text. I'm going to right click here and convert this to a line. I'll bring this down here like that. Now, depending on what I do, if I want to have this tucked in, I can. If I don't want to do that, I can just double click on that and delete that and make that straight. Either way, I have a lot of control over what I can do with the end of that shape. Everything's flowing pretty good here. I can see a little roughness here. I can drop a node here, delete this node, and that'll start to deal with some of that. And I can come back in here and do some more tweaking here also. Probably want to bring this down just a little bit there. Now, to put my text for football inside of my tail, and actually what I think I'll do is I'll just go ahead with this. Double click here, we'll delete this. That's going to smooth out just a little bit. We'll bring this down this way, and I'm going to come down here and I'm going to right click, and I'll change this to a curve, and I'll bring this over this way here just a little bit. I can delete that. Now I've got a nice end shape on that tail. Now, in order to place my text inside, what I want to do is I want to create a shape that I can use for my envelope. I don't want to create my text and then bring it up here and play with the envelope. I want to use shaping because it's going to save me time, it's going to be more accurate, it's going to be much cleaner. To do that, what I'm going to do is I'll take just my tail shape here, I'm going to fill that with a gray color. I'm going to come over to my interactive contour tool, and I'm going to go to the inside and make that bigger until we've got just enough room. Now you see I've got a shape inside of here that I created with the contour. I want to go ahead and right click and select break contour group apart. I'm going to create a large rectangle here, and then I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that same rectangle over here so it's just about centered off of the two. And then I'll hold down shift, select both of these, weld these, and then because I'm going to want my text to be italicized so it lines up with the Westfill, I'll go ahead and click again, and then we'll go ahead and skew this so that it's going to be very close to the same italicized or angle that the Westfill text is on, and have that centered, which would be right about there. I'll hold down shift, select the shape I made with the contour, and then I'll click on back minus front. Now here I've got a shape from which I can create my envelope. Again, working with shapes, I can't stress that enough because it saves so much time, so much easier to work with, and it's also so much cleaner. The next thing I want to do is go ahead and create my football text. As you can see right there, change that font to a freshman, which is another free font. I'm going to go to my envelope Docker. Now, if you don't have that, you can get to that through Window, go to Dockers, and then come down to Envelope, and that'll come up for you. Come over here to the eyedropper, click on my shape, then click Apply, and then I can bring this right up into my tail, and you can see how easily that fits right where it's supposed to, and it's nice and clean. And I didn't have to go through all the steps of working with the envelope once I applied it to the text. The next thing I'm going to do is we'll go ahead and fill this with, let's say, a white for now. I'm going to take this, hold down shift, select my text and my W, which I could make my W even bigger if I wanted. Actually, what I'll do is I think I'll pull this down here just a little bit, like right about there. And then I'll hold down shift and select all three of these, come up here and click on weld. I'm going to come over here to where my tail and my E came together, get my shape tool. I'll just lasso these and delete them, they'll smooth right out, and you can see how clean and smooth that is. That being done, I'll go ahead and convert this to, let's say, a black, or fill it with a black, and there I've got my setup. Now I might want my football text just a little bit smaller, but because the shape is already perfect, that's not an issue, and then I can just come and put this right back into place. Like that, right there. And I can just use my arrow key to bring that down a bit. So here I've got my Westville football tail, and if I wanted to I could make this even bigger and have it fill right up through here, but we'll go with this for now. Looking at having created this, now I've got my basic black and white, which you see right here. And what I want to do next is add some effects to this. So we'll go ahead and duplicate this. And I'm going to bring this down here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add an outline. Now I use Design Base for outlines just because I've got a library of outlines, and you can get these for free on the site. But I'm going to go with, let's say, 4 or 3. I'll actually go here with, let's say, outline 4. Go ahead and click on Apply Outline. And now you can see just by the application of the outline, now my graphic is starting to pop. Things are starting to change. I'm going to go ahead and take this and I'm going to arch these up a bit just so they'll look more like what they're actually going to look like as tails. Right there. The next thing I want to do is actually get some more depth into this and take it to the next level. I'm going to go ahead and hit ungroup here. I'll zoom in. I'm going to go ahead and straighten my football text out here. Just get that in the right place, the outline effect, move that just a bit. I'll take this black top object that I have and I'll go ahead and click on copy and I'll click on paste and I'm going to go right click here to take my outline off. I'm going to fill that with, let's say, a red. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that and move that over, and I'm just going to create some shadow to go in here right about, let's say, right about here, more or less. Then I'll change the color of that just so I can see it. I'll select, holding down shift, I'll select that red. I'll come up here and click on front minus black, and then what I'll do is I'll take and fill that with a black. I'm going to click on my black and let's fill that with, let's say, a blue. Now you can see we've got quite a bit more pop going on in this graphic. We've given it some depth. And depth really is a big determinator in what's going to make your graphics pop. And we can see that if we put these two side by side. Right here. And you can see there's just so much more depth coming off of this design. So it's going to come off the garment more. It looks like it has depth. This looks like just a flat graphic. Next thing I want to do is add some effects to this. And I'm going to take this football text actually and put an outline on that. I'll go to Object Properties, come down here, and we'll give this, let's say, a 2.5. We'll go to the outline settings. We'll round our corners and end caps, and we'll go with Behind Fill and select OK. And that looks pretty good right there. Just something to help that text pop a little bit more. Once again, definition and pop. Next thing I'm going to do is apply some effects to this. And in order to do that, what I'm going to need to do is make sure that I've got white set up as the background before I apply an effect. So I'll go with a white here, and this white, I'm going to go ahead and copy this and paste this. Now I'm going to move this over. I want this to be in front of the object that I just filled with white. So I'm just going to go ahead, right click on this and select Order, go in front of, click on the white. I'm going to hold down Shift. I'm going to hit C and E to put that back in place. I'm going to click off so I don't have both objects selected. I only want one selected. And then I'll fill that with, let's say, a blue. Now, to give this an effect, I use my Fashion Factory. It's the fastest way I can work to do these things. So go ahead and select my blue here. I'll bring up my Fashion Factory and I'll look at some of the different textures and effects that I can apply to the graphic. I think I'll go with the distress. For this particular one, I could go with a snakeskin or many other things, but I'll go with something that's got a little bit of distress in it. I'll go to Rock This, double click on that, and I'll select Apply Texture as Transparency. That having been done, I'm going to go to my Interactive Transparency tool because these effects are applied as transparencies. I think it's a little bit too heavy. I'm going to change my starting point and ending point just a bit to see what type of an effect I'm going to get. And I'm going to bring this down in size to something like that. Now if I want to have a little bit less of the washed out look on here, I can simply select this. I'll copy and paste it. And then I won't have too much effect on there. I'm going to pull this over to one side. I'm going to take the outline off here. And I'm going to go here and take the outline off also because we don't need that. I'm going to take this. I'm going to go right click. I'll select Order, go to in front of, click on the original object that I created. And I'll hold down Shift, click that object again, hit C and E to center those, and now I've got my effect set up. Now one of the interesting things that I can do is I can change that because I've got two objects set up with basically the same effect. I can do some change to that and have different applications of the same texture on the two different graphics that will really change how that starts to look. Now you can see here that in a matter of minutes I have moved from a basic tail to a tail with effects. Next thing for me would be to set this up for a client is to get these on comps. Go ahead and put this over here and we'll group that. We'll do the same thing here. I want to group everything here. Go to my design base. I'm going to get my comps. I'll come down through here. Get a basic short sleeve. Probably something like this here. Take this and I'll just go with full front comp with that selected. That'll bring that in position my graphic for me. I'll just bring this up into the chest a little bit more where I think it would be on the actual design. I'll go ahead and do the same thing here, full front comp, bring that in. And when you present these graphics on the comps, and there's some free comps on our site too that will work in Design Base for you. I want to bring this over here, and by the way, Design Base is a free download. I want to bring this over here, and you can see the difference we're going to get. I'll go ahead and resize this to the size it would actually be on the t-shirt, and I'll do the same thing here and bring this over this way. I'm going to go ahead and hold down Alt. I'll get the color behind that, change that to a white. Go here, hold down Alt, and change this color to, let's say, if they've got different school colors, a gray or a green or something like that. Now you can see that when you present these to a client, there's going to be a dramatic difference between looking at just this design and this one. And once again, you've got the opportunity to upsell both into a color garment, an extra color, and charge them an extra $1, $1.50, $2 a shirt. And as I said in the beginning of the video, you're going to set the job up anyway. Why not try the upsell? If they decide they just want to go with this because they don't have the money, they're still going to be impressed with the fact that you've done this. And we've heard from all of our clients and people watching our videos that typically when you do this effectively, you're going to see somewhere between 7 or 8 clients actually opt for the upsell, especially in the schools, the youth groups, etc. So this is just a short training tutorial on how I would approach working with tails and designing athletic tails, not just from a graphics standpoint, but also from a marketing standpoint. And as I said earlier in the video, everything that goes out of your shop really is advertising for your business. So you want to try and get the coolest graphics as you can out there, even when you're dealing with something as simple as athletic tails. So go ahead and wrap here, and we'll see you in our next video.